Okay, one of the best pieces of evidence has come in from a friend of mine in South Carolina on his trail cameras. He had had some suspicious activity. He'd even seen something to look a little suspicious, a bipedal, so he put some trail cameras out. And guys, I've got a great picture on my trail camera of what he got. Would you guys like to see it?
Woo!
Right here it is. Okay, one of the best pieces of evidence has come in from a friend of mine in South Carolina on his trail cameras. He had had some suspicious activity. He'd even seen something to look a little suspicious, a bipedal, so he put some trail cameras out. And guys, I've got a great picture on my trail camera of what he got. Would you guys like to see it?
Woo!
Right here it is. That is a Bigfoot hand on a trail camera. We've sent this to the Finding Bigfoot crew. We've sent it to our local East Tennessee Bigfoot Research Organization. And they've all confirmed that it's some kind of an unknown species hand. It was taken on a trail camera in South Carolina. So this goes right along with some of the other evidence that we've been seeing that I showed you earlier, some of the older evidence and some of the newer evidence, like the Jacobs photo and the video in West Virginia. If you guys got any idea what this might be, please leave it in the comment section or message me. We're really interested if anybody else has had any type of sightings or pictures or anything like this. Alrighty guys, we've made it to the event. As you can see here, we're at the Bigfoot and Barbecue event, and I've just got the schedule. Looks like they got some guest speakers off and on all day. And let's go check this out. We're going to go down the hill here where these people are walking. And they've got some vendors and stuff, so let's go see what's going on. Alrighty guys, we're down here at the Bigfoot Festival. Got Matt Seeber with the Tennessee Bigfoot Association. Check him out on Facebook. Make sure you guys like his page. But Matt, I sent you a picture here about a year or so ago. The Bigfoot hand on the trail camera. Tell us a little bit about what you've done with the picture and what your thoughts are.
I'll pass the picture off to Cliff Barrett from Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot. He's not really come back with anything conclusive. I think we've got a real thing going on there. I think that's a real hand, a Bigfoot hand. Because of the shape and the size is just very indicative of what this hand casts look like. So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Awesome. I've not seen any evidence like that anywhere.
No, ever.
See the footprints and stuff that you've seen ever. Now you're getting ready to speak. How long are you going to speak for?
15, 20 minutes. Maybe.
Awesome, man. We're going to be here to listen to speak. Check it out on the video we're going to put out there. Man, it's great to meet you.
Thanks.
Stay in touch with me.
Sure, absolutely. How y'all doing? First got started looking at doing a speech for you guys. It started at about 8 pages long. And then I whittled it down to about 5 pages with larger font so I could see it. And now I have some 3x5s. I'm going to try to wing it. I've never done this before, but I appreciate y'all coming. I hope I explain a little bit to you. I don't really have a whole lot to share as far as the question that I'm going to be asking. But first, again, my name is Matt Seeber. I'm with EastTennesseeBigfoot.org. We were founded by me in 2005 after my son had a sighting in our backyard in Rowan County. Tried to find people to talk to tell them the story. I felt like they looked down on us as redneck hillbillies and didn't really want to talk to us. So from that point on, I just started doing it on my own. And since then, I've talked to several people. We've had over 60 reports given to us personally in this area and all around East Tennessee. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good deal. Okay, no, sorry. Keep reminding me of that so y'all can hear me good. But we've got about 15 members, and we're independent researchers. We're not part of any other group or organization. We share everything we know. We don't specifically adhere to one specific idea about who or what Bigfoot is, and that's what this conversation is about this morning. The question was given to me to be asked, who or what is Bigfoot? And before I go any farther, I want to thank the organizers of this Bigfoot barbecue for allowing me to be here to talk to you guys. Again, this is my first time speaking publicly in this type of situation. But how many people here have actually seen a Sasquatch? Only 2. How many people believe in the existence of these creatures? Most. Okay, I'm not going to ask about the skeptics. We'll talk about that later if you want to come by my booth and discuss it. But there's a possibility out there this morning with all this barbecue going through up and down these hills and these valleys that one of these creatures may be smelling this barbecue this morning. That's how close I believe they could possibly be to us at any given time. One of the things that always interests me is when I talk about these things, I'm using the word plural. A lot of people believe there's only one specific creature, one Bigfoot that travels from the west coast to the east coast, Canada to South America, or to Australia, or wherever they find them. They're surprised when they say that when I tell them it is a species. There are hundreds, maybe even thousands of these creatures roaming the planet. They can be found just about anywhere. And from what I can understand with the reports that we've gathered, we've never gathered any reports anywhere outside of civilization. I've actually taken reports in the city of Knoxville. So they are everywhere. They're in you find them in driveways, cul-de-sacs, parks, cemeteries especially, for whatever reason. I don't understand that. Got a report once where a young man saw a Bigfoot eating flowers off of a fresh grave, where people had placed flowers on someone's grave. And that was very close to where I was raised. They come in all shapes and sizes. They're not all 10 feet tall. My sister actually encountered a creature that was just over 4 feet tall. Her and her entire family saw this creature driving between Lenoir City and Oak Ridge back in the 90s. So they're all different shapes, sizes, and colors. Male, female, young, infant. Anyone can see any myriad of types of these creatures running around. I mean, there are different descriptions in different parts of the world. Some are taller, some are shorter, some are fat, some are thin, kind of like us. Very similar to us. And they are very elusive. If you've seen a Bigfoot, you are very fortunate, or unfortunate, however you want to look at it. The good possibility is, a lot of people say that they allow you to see them. So that means you were chosen to see them. But most people don't take enough time out in their lives to look around, see what's going on around them. We're driving 55 to 70 miles an hour down the interstate. We're watching the road. Most people are watching the road. Most people are watching the cars in front and behind and side to side. We don't really take a good look. And how are you going to really see very well at 70 miles an hour going down the interstate? When we go and visit the mountains, we stay on the well-hiked trails. We don't go off into the middle of nowhere in places that nobody ventures. So to say that you have to go a long way off the beaten path to find these things is not necessarily true. They could be right next door. They could be right behind the house. we never know because they choose to hide from it. There's a thought in my head that when they hide from us and allow themselves to be seen, there are reasons for it. And one reason may be because they have young or infant Bigfoot with them, and they're getting your attention to take your focus off of the small one, the young one that may be there. They want you to see them for a reason. And then the other possibility is they just maybe crossed the road at the wrong time. They didn't expect you to be there. I mean, just like us, sometimes we lose our train of thought. They don't wear watches and they don't have schedules. They can do pretty much as they please. So if he wanted to cross the road, he'd probably wait till midnight or later, and that's where many of the reports for road crossings I get, late at night, not during the day. Sometimes they make mistakes. And I know I'm not answering the question about who or what Bigfoot is, but that will come. That will come. When we consider the evidence that's presented to us, there's not much of it. Thousands of people see Bigfoot. Thousands of people see tracks. They find hair samples that are unexplainable. They find inconclusive DNA. And of course, there's all kind of pictures. There's all kind of video. You have to remember in this day and age, a lot of that stuff is hoaxable. A lot of things are faked. It takes a discerning eye. I'm very skeptical of every video and picture I look at. Simply because there are a lot of people out there trying to fool you. They have fun. And it is something people do. So we have to be careful with what we pick and choose as what we call evidence. But bottom line, there really isn't a whole lot. Anybody can make a track. The hair is strange, but when they say it's just an unknown animal, that's as far as it goes. As far as science is concerned, they won't take it any farther. They'll just call it unknown. Or they'll find maybe human DNA, which is another topic altogether that we could discuss that I don't know enough about, obviously. And people ask, why have we not found a body? That's one of the biggest questions I get asked. Why have we not found a body? I'm 51 years old. For the first time in my life, maybe 3 years ago, I saw my first dead bobcat on the side of the road. How often do we see bobcats in the wild? How many of us have seen bobcats in the wild? Very few. Very few. Very many. I'd never seen one in the wild. I'd never seen one dead on the side of the road until that one night. My son, who's with me here this morning, we took a deer carcass and placed it out in the woods and marked the area. And we allowed it to decay. We left it for a month. A hunter had actually shot the deer, but the deer got away from him and ended up dying in our neighbor's yard. So we disposed of the deer. We didn't know how long he'd been dead, and we weren't about to claim it or do anything like that. So we just took it out in the woods and we left it. A month later, there was nothing left. We dug around in the leaves and the dirt and found a few rib bones, but everything else was gone. So it doesn't take a very long time if something dies in the woods to decay. You have to consider that there are predators out there in the woods and scavengers, and plus just decay. It doesn't take long at all. Some people, there are stories about reasons why maybe we don't find them dead in the woods or wherever. People say they're very intelligent and they bury their dead. Others will say they eat their dead. It gets kind of gruesome after that. But, you know, we know of stories where even elephants and certain large animals, and maybe you all have experienced this yourselves with your family pets, if they get sick, they go crawl under the bed. They go hide. You know, when animals are hurt or they're sick, and they know they're vulnerable, they'll hide. So maybe that's what these creatures do. They go somewhere and they hide to where nobody can get to them and nobody will ever find them. Now, there's another issue that comes along with the study of this creature. It's called the woo factor. And I don't know if any of y'all know what the woo is. If you're a Bigfoot researcher, the woo is simply the paranormal, the supernatural aspects of some of the stories that we hear about these creatures. Stories about them disappearing and reappearing yards away. Just disappearing into thin air and coming right back. I've actually took a report where people have saw lights come out of the sky from some unknown object, and very shortly thereafter there were Sasquatch running around the woods. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. It's just what I was told. There are reports of what's called mind speak, where people hear voices in their head that aren't their own. And they're not like anything they've ever heard. And they believe it's the type of communication. And I know people who have experienced sudden illness and disorientation when they've been near or around this type of activity. And there's no explanation for it. So I guess with all that little bit of stuff I said, it probably just jumbled up for you. I'm sorry if I confused anybody. What is Bigfoot? I don't have that answer. Some people think it's a specific species. Cliff Brycen from Animal Planet believes they're Bigfoot. They're not an unknown primate. They're not human. They're Bigfoot. That's how he explains himself. Other people believe it's an unknown primate. Simply something that science has missed over the years. There's so few of them. They're so rare. They're probably on the edge of extinction. And those that are left are so hard to find and so afraid of us as human beings that when we do see them, it's a very rare occurrence. Then you also have a school of thought where they're alien in nature. And this comes right back to that woo thing that I just mentioned. Some people believe that these creatures came from another planet, whether recently or millions of years ago, thousands of years ago. I read one place where a certain belief was that these creatures are actually an alien slave race brought to Earth to dig gold and precious gems for an alien race. A master race. It gets really sci-fi, doesn't it? It starts to get kind of crazy. I understand that. And there are also, now let's keep in mind, there are also biblical aspects to the possibilities of this creature. In Genesis, it talks about the Nephilim, of the fallen angels, and that these creatures are the offspring of the fallen angels and the women that these fallen angels had relations with before the flood of Noah. That's another story. And there's also some belief systems believe that this Sasquatch, Bigfoot, is the offspring of Cain, who killed his brother Abel in the book of Genesis. And then also in the book of Genesis, there's a story about Jacob and Esau, who were born to Isaac. Esau was covered with red hair from head to toe. And Bigfoot and Sasquatch, this creature is the descendants of Esau. Now you can take that for what it is. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going on here. I'm just giving you the options. I'm telling you the ideas because I don't know what Bigfoot is. I don't have a clue. Every time I started pinpointing and maybe starting to believe that there was something in particular going on, I would hear something or I would read something or I would be told something and it would just blow that completely out of the water. I'm an open-minded person. I'm not a scientist. I don't look at things scientifically. I look at things like most people do. I'm a normal person. I don't have a scientific background. I'm a machinist by trade. So I look at things with an open mind and try to make the best out of what I understand things to be. And I have yet to discover and figure out just what they are. But I do know one thing. They are real. I can't be dissuaded. I've seen enough evidence and I've talked to enough people. And I trust my mother 100%. She saw one. Several of my family members have seen them. I don't know why I haven't, Lucky, I guess. I don't know. But several of my family have seen the Sasquatch. There's no documented scientific proof that these creatures even exist. And the mainstream scientific community frowns upon the very notion of Bigfoot. Any scientist who studies this creature, or the possibility of this creature, they're vilified. People like me are vilified. We're called foolish, ignorant. We don't have any common sense. We're off our rockers. We're drinking too much. We're smoking a little weed. It can go on and on. That's how they do it. That's how they write us off. They're not willing to look deep enough into this. I don't know why. But I'm going to keep looking. I'm going to keep listening to people. I'll keep talking about it. Maybe someday we'll figure this out, one way or the other. I'm 99.99% for sure they exist. That 1/10 can only be the biggest hoax mankind has ever been perpetrated against. Because there's just too much out there. And I was listening to a gentleman here just before I came up here, and was speaking about his experience, and there was a flag went on. He said it was on 4 legs. Came in on all 4s. And then it stood up. I believe he saw Sasquatch. Because that's something they do. You don't always hear the stories about them walking on 4 legs, but I've heard several. Where they come in on 4 legs and they perceive to be a bear or some sort of mangy looking bear or something. The next thing you know, they stand up and walk away. Bears don't do that. Bears don't walk on hind legs normally. Either they're injured or they're trained. You see a bear in the woods on its hind legs walking, you'll know it's a bear. So, I want to challenge any of y'all here who have no desire to believe in the even possibility of these things existing. I challenge you to investigate it for yourself. Don't take anybody's word for it. I've had kids come up to me and say, Daddy says you're crazy because there is no Bigfoot. Daddy says you're crazy. And I'm not going to argue with the kids. But I'm wondering if dads ever really investigate. The people I know who have seen this creature and had experiences with this creature, it's changed their lives. It's changed them. Hunters have sold their guns and their dogs. They don't go in the woods anymore. I know a lady who moved from her home. She was too close. I'm going to the city. I've had enough. So, all kinds of crazy things going on out there in the world. And it's a big world. And we don't have it all figured out like a lot of people think we do. So, I challenge anybody who does not believe in this creature to look into it for themselves and go as far as you want to go. And you can go from one extreme to the other. There are about as many stories out there as there are food on the buffet table. All kinds of ideas, all kinds of possibilities. Pick your poison, I say. But I'll just tell you from my own experience, from what I understand, these things are real, whatever they are. So I'm told I was going to be able to take a few questions. I'll be happy to do that. I don't see anybody actually in charge. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever heard of, or do you have any knowledge of, them migrating?
I have heard of migration theory, but my own belief, and again, we have to understand that all of this is based on speculation because there is no scientific proof. We don't have one in captivity that I know of, and we don't have any that we actually study in the wild. So we don't know for sure. But my take on migration is no. That's my take. I believe they're transient. As in, they just simply go where the food goes. Now, if the food is migrating, they're migrating. Because I don't know what they are, but I don't believe they're dumb animals. They're not deer. And they're not bears.
My second question is, have you ever heard of more activity when there's like
At my son's particular sighting back in 2005, there was a house being built just 2 doors down. There was a lot of building and a lot of knocking. And all that. I believe that's what brought the attention down to our neighborhood. It heard what would, I guess, be construed as wood knocks, hammer and nails, that kind of thing. A lot of noise and construction. I think that's what attracted it to the area to begin with. So yeah, I'm sure that logging, encroachment on their land where they live, they get active. They may even be trying to run people out, scaring people away. Yes. Anything. Yes. I had a report sent to me where a lady saw the thing jump out onto a trail, pick up a frog and put it in his mouth and walk back into the woods. They will eat anything. There are stories. There is a book called Missing 411, I think it is. That's spooky. Getting close to Halloween too. Yes, son. I have found personally only 3 tracks, singular tracks in my lifetime. Never a group of tracks, just singular track. And they were, to me, random, not going anywhere in particular. They were huge. You come back by my booth later on and get another Jolly Rancher.
Alrighty guys, we're getting ready to leave the festival. We had a real good time. We met a lot of new friends. We showed some of our evidence off, and we really had a great trip. If you guys like the video, please like it, subscribe, and share with your friends. Have a good time, enjoy life. That's what we did today.